Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Propelio Academy. This is Troy Fullwood with Pinnacle Investments, and we just talked about cost of capital. Great topic, and did what I call a 10,000 overview. We kind of brought it down to the 1,000 foot level for everybody to truly understand what really goes on behind the scenes. But keep in mind, it's always a moving target no matter what side of the business you're on. And it's always hard to kind of, trap something in place when it's moving. One, because our cost of capital moves and the markets move and things shift. That being said, how is it that you can make money in this game, the note business, doing wholesaling? Okay? Now, wholesaling notes is something that I love. It's something that I got started in 23 years ago. When I got started in the business, I didn't have any money to buy notes. I didn't have 2 red cents to rub together, let alone money to buy notes. But what I did have is I was driven and I was passionate and I was looking to, create an income for myself. So I figured out very early on in the business how to identify deals, where to find deals, and then I would in turn put them under contract, and then I would in turn sell them or assign the contract off to what I call big institutional buyers. At the time, there was a little tiny group called the Associates Financial Services, and they had this guy in there, Bob Repass, that used to run the joint, and him and I became friends and sold a lot of deals to him, which was a lot of fun because he's a great guy. We did a lot of fun things back then. But I would make these what I call margin spreads on every single deal that I did. Now, oftentimes a general rule of thumb is when people ask me, well, how much can I make wholesaling a note deal? Well, I kind of like to follow what I call supporting industries like real estate agents or mortgage professionals and things like that. And they typically make anywhere between 2 to 6% on a deal, depending upon if they're the buyer's agent, the seller's agent. But using that as a supporting industry, I typically say the same thing, 2 to 6% on a deal. Okay, fair enough. That being said, I'm going to show you the institutional side of that's kind of the 10,000 foot view. I'm going to bring you down to the 1,000 foot view on how we do it when it comes to yields and things of that nature. So bringing up this over here, go to this one here. Okay, great. So going back to the scenario that we had earlier, or the last episode, the last 2 episodes actually. You got a $90,000 first on a 7% interest on 360-month terms, and $598 is the payment. Okay, they made 24 payments. 336 is what's left, and I can go in there and I can buy it at a 10% yield. Okay, great. So I go in and I buy it at a 10% yield. But here's the thing, I'm not really buying it. I'm just putting it under contract. Just like you would a house or an apartment complex or a piece of land or a mobile home and land, whatever it is, wholesaling's wholesaling. In the note side of it, it's the same thing. It's a simple 1-page option agreement that we use to take control of the deal, and we start our due diligence. Now, I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm going to tell you why I do it sometimes and why I don't do it other times. Because 23 years in the business, I still do wholesaling. Why? Because it brings in quick cash, and I like cash. Hopefully you do too. So I buy it at a 10%. Actually, I put it under contract at a 10%, but I reach out to a bank or an institution. We've got a whole list of banks and institutions that we work with. We've built their relationships up over the years, and we know exactly what they're buying. And I'll tell you real quick what they're buying. It's pretty simple. Single family, residential, owner-occupied, non-owner-occupied, 1 to 4 units, mobile home, double wide with land, single wide, mobile homes with land, townhouses, condos, co-ops, things of that nature, even small, commercial properties. Well, guess what? Magically, we buy the same thing. So we're always looking at these things on a regular basis because that's what our marketing brings in. As a whole, if I turn around and I buy it at 10%, okay, I put it under contract. I put it under contract for $67,432.31, which would be buying it at a 10% yield. Now, I could certainly put this in my portfolio. No problem. I could certainly do that. But I decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to keep this one in my portfolio. I'm going to sell it off over here, but I've got a buyer that'll buy it over here at a 9%. Well, that creates a $5,919.70 spread. Okay, that's what I get out of the deal. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Troy, why would you wholesale this if you can put it in your portfolio? there's this thing called a family, and the family takes a lot of money to run. And I like being in a happy family, so it takes even more money to run. And having 4 boys, 18 to 6-year-old twins, and a beautiful, amazing wife who works her tail off to keep that household together, I want to make sure there's plenty of cash in the bank to do what it is that we like to do. Because we like to do fun things. Like we like to go on cruises. We take about 75 to 90 days a year off every year on vacations. We cruised almost the entire Caribbean. We've cruised all the way down to Belize and Honduras and all of those things. Not to mention we do a lot of charity work. So those are the things that motivate us, and those are our big whys as a family. So we'll use deals like this. We'll wholesale them out. We'll pick up the $6 grand, and you round up here to say $6 grand for sake of conversation, and we'll bring that cash in, and we'll do anywhere between 10 to 15 of these per month. That brings in a pretty nice cash flow. The rest of the deals we put in our portfolio, and we do it because we want to build a really solid portfolio, aka I keep the best ones for myself at the end of the day. Just a little secret there. I do that because I like, passive money, okay? I like passive money. I like letting it do its thing. I like being able to manage it effectively. I don't want a lot of headaches. I don't want a lot of heartaches. I want to let homeowners live their life. I want to live my life. They make their payments. I'm happy. They're happy. So if I see little indicators that maybe, I'm more risk averse to, then I'll hand it off to somebody else. They see the same thing, but their risk tolerance is different. No problem. They'll buy it and move forward. Here's the great thing about this. When you wholesale deals, so putting this deal under a contract, a 1-page option agreement, I gather the documentation up front. I then in turn send that documentation off with my 1-page option agreement. They sign another agreement with me that I'm going to get paid $5,919.70 when the deal closes. But here's the thing. They do all the work. Okay? They go out and pull new credit. They go out and they underwrite the file. They go out and they do the valuation. They go out and they do title. They schedule the closing. They work with the seller. They do all of that. I just wait for my check to come. And they CC me on emails. So I'm always in the loop. I always know what's going on. Anytime I can lend a hand, which is at any time, I jump in, I make sure the deal's moving forward because guess what? I want to get paid. That's how you wholesale notes, also known as wholesaling debt across the country. So I can be in, doing a deal right now. I live in Arizona. The deal's in Florida. The buyer is in New York. The title company is in Florida who's doing it. So we're in 3 different areas of the country, but yet the deal continues to move forward. That's the beauty of wholesaling notes, okay? And the great thing about it is it doesn't cost anything to do it. It just requires some effort. It just requires a little bit of work and some marketing, okay? But there's lots of places to market for notes. Here's one. I'll give you this little secret, and any of you can do this. So you can, after this episode, you can jump on Craigslist, go to Craigslist. Under Craigslist, you'll see real estate. Go into real estate for sale, click on that, look in the SFRs, and in the search bar, type in keyword phrases like owner will carry, owner finance, owner financing, owner carryback. Those are some keyword phrases that you can put in there, and you'll see a number of houses in your city or state, if you want to do a statewide or citywide search. You'll see a number of houses for sale with seller financing. Guess what? Those people are selling houses with seller financing. And oftentimes they don't even know that they can sell the note because they've never looked into the note side of the business, or they've read somewhere, or they've taken up a belief that, hey, if they do sell it, it's only worth 50 cents on the dollar. Now, that might be the case if they don't know the information that I've shared with you here in this academy and how to structure the deals and how to underwrite the deals. But that's a place where you can come into this and add value to that relationship. Hey, Mr. Seller, when you find a buyer, let me work with you on finding a buyer for that note. But before you sign the documentation, Let me price it out for you. Let me tell you what this is worth today and what it's going to be worth in, say, 3 months or 6 months. That way you can make an educated decision. And you can pick up on the ideas or the issues that might be brewing in the background. Like they think they have to sell the house with seller financing with 3% interest. Why? Because on the way to the meeting, they drove by a billboard from Bank of America that had 3.9% 30-year mortgages on it. So they think that they have to be competitive with Bank of America. When the truth is they don't. Number one, they're not Bank of America. They're not doing that volume level of trade. But number two, you've got a buyer that's in the bottom 20% of credit buyers. So they're prepared to pay a higher interest rate. They're prepared to not go through the traditional, underwriting guidelines with the banks and the institutions. So they're okay with that. So they should be charged a 7 to 9%, no prepayment penalty. Okay? That allows them to get in the house, set up shop, build a track record, and then they can go out and refinance as a rate and term mortgage refinance on that deal. But that's the simplified version of how to wholesale notes nationwide. So it doesn't matter where you're at in this country. All of you have access to Craigslist. Why do I love Craigslist? Well, it's simple. It's an evergreen marketing system. In the real estate side of it, every 45 days, they're purging those ads. They're pushing the old ads out. So everything there is typically 30, 45 days or less. Now, I agree, some of them are probably duplicate ads. But here's the thing. If you could go out there and find 5 people that you build a relationship with, that you can work with, and you can help them set up deals that will maximize their payout, don't you think you'd have a client for life that would bring you 3, 4, 5 deals a month? And if you're making, say, $5,900 per deal, which, by the way, is right around 5 to 6 points on a deal of this nature, but it's basically a 1% yield factor on it. If you can do that, then now you've got pretty solid, steady income of, $10,000, $20,000 potentially. Now it might change because not every deal is a $90,000 deal. Some are more, some are less, but you understand what I'm saying. You're tracking where I'm going. So with that being said, that's how you make money in wholesale. Really straightforward, really simple, easy to do, one-page contract, but it is, and it truly is, about relationships, okay? You get 4 to 5, 6 people that you're working with. They're doing the rehabbing. They're doing what they need to do to find houses. They're fixing them up. They're selling them. You're just coming along as a financial arm to their, real estate toolbox and putting the deals together, helping them put the deals together, and then helping them exit out of the deals to accomplish what it is they want to do, which is take that money, put it into the next house, and move forward. So with that being said, welcome to Wholesaling of Notes. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.